Welcome to SIS Stories. This is Miss Bacigalupo's English 10 class, storytelling under the theme, Enter, Return. This is Emmie's memoir. Listen to her speak about what happens when home doesn't feel like home anymore.
From the first breath, it was different. The air was thicker, more solid, and far too real. Yet each breath couldn't quite reach my lungs. I forced myself to breathe deeper as I weaved through crowds of people, going half mad to not lose my dad in the chaos. Welcome to Tom Bradley International. Welcome, indeed. This is the airport terminal I would come back to every time I came back home, back to Los Angeles. Except this time, this would be the first time I came back to Los Angeles in the 2 years since I had moved to China. I probably couldn't count the amount of times I had hastily walked up that fateful ramp into the arrival hall for international flights. LED lights that change colors line the walls enclosing the ramp. An ever-fluid rainbow. Absolutely hypnotizing for a kid. However, this time walking through, I could only feel the tired and dry sensation of my eyes stinging with every blink. I wonder what's changed. And as I navigate my way through the hordes of people outside, I constantly catch whiffs of clouds of noxious air. And as I look up, my eyes find groups of bored-looking millennials, each with a stick of lung cancer in their mouths. And as my eyes follow the curbs, I realize that it's not just them. There's tons of other people smoking, inhaling and exhaling their lives away. I crinkle my nose in disgust. At least have the decency to go further from the exits. Not everyone feels like getting secondhand smoke, thank you very much. LAX didn't used to be so polluted or so crowded. It didn't even used to have this many people, right? A sharp pain shoots through my left shoulder, making my palms sweaty and cold. Relax, you're home now. Finally, the shuttle station. Stepping upwards, I don't even get the chance to catch my breath before the small rickety bus arrives. I try and thank the bus driver lady for helping us with our luggage. Oh, no, I meant thank you. I almost thanked her in Chinese. How embarrassing. But if she noticed my mistake, she didn't say anything. You're welcome, sweetie, she starts. You two can grab a seat back there. And so as I head back to the back of the bus to find a place to sit, I'm flustered. And I sit with my dad, his bag in between us. But I put my bag in my lap, encircling it with my arms. I don't feel like letting it go. Bits and pieces of my life overseas are in it, and they radiate comfort. Sitting in that bus, I try not to sway in every direction, even if I'm seated. I nervously check Snapchat 3 times in a minute, only to find that nothing has changed since the last time I checked. And this continues for about 20 minutes till I arrive at the car rental. And me and my dad let the other family out of the bus first, and I thank the bus driver lady and step out, mentally groaning when I'm still dizzy even on solid ground. I look up to the sky. I curse under my breath. It's hot, 114 degrees Fahrenheit, 45 degrees Celsius for the rest of the world. But there I am, under the hot LA sky, just staring into nothingness. The same sky I had woken up to for the first 8 years of my life. At least it was always the same shade of blue. Looking around, I realized that my dad has long gone into the car rental, and I'm just still standing there, letting a few more drops of sweat spill down my face. I shoulder my bag and walk in. The long rectangular building is kind of sad, to be honest. It only has 4 very spaced out counters at the back, a brochure rack, and a bathroom. And my dad is at one of the counters talking to the only employee in sight. I realize he's abandoned our luggage with his back turned in the row of seats lining the opposite end of the wall. I simply shuffle over to our luggage, push it all closer to myself, and sit back down. Why do you feel this way? You're home. And as I sit down, I open my bag and draw out my earphones, my hands shaking as I try to ignore it. I hit shuffle and let the soft tunes feed into my mind, trying to let myself actively listen for a minute. A vain attempt to bring back any semblance of normalcy to how I felt. It became clearer and clearer that I needed to assess the situation I was in. So, first step, Admit that you are indeed in a situation. Check. Second step. How do you feel? Well, I felt nervous and confused, definitely, but why? And I turn around to look over my shoulder out the window of the car rental station, and all I see is dry and beige, yellow buildings, probably not taller than the average tree. And I think to myself, I miss tall buildings. I miss actual greenery. I miss bustling streets. I miss my friends. I miss China. I want to go home. And as I turn back around, it comes as a jolt. When had home stopped being home? And when had it stopped being LA? 2 years ago, if you had asked me which I'd like better, the US or China, I definitely would have just rolled my eyes at you and said the US for sure. But if you asked me that same question now, I wouldn't be so sure how to answer. Then it dawned on me that perhaps it wasn't LA that changed, and maybe it was me as a person. LA had always been dry and beige. It always had been that many smokers, and the sky had always been that far. But I wasn't always this version of myself, though. I was a kid that lived in LA and thought it was perfect. Then I got a little older and became blinded by nostalgia. And then I stood there in the car rental, the international me, finally. And it was almost laughable that I had a slight existential crisis in a car rental, but that's what life is, I suppose. And I tried to muster up all the courage in my small body to face the summer break head on. It wasn't home anymore, but it was still a fond memory, and it was still Los Angeles. Thank you.